Welcome to this Last Mile Profits video, the last word on the last mile. Is Evri going to make Advent a killing just like Impulse did? Interested to find out more? Stay tuned. Experience the future of convenience with modern Expo parcel lockers. Cutting-edge innovations that bring parcel delivery to a fundamentally new level. Follow the link in the description to find the best solution for your business. Gary, great to have you back from vacation. And we got some really hot topics. And the first one is going to be Evri. And for those who don't know the older name, what was the older name?
It was Hermes, and before that it was ParcelNet, and before that it was Grattan's agents, and yeah, it's an old established carrier in the UK, definitely, with a new name.
So I'll give a bit of background because I was actually a little bit involved in this one, and then it would be really good to get your views because you're in the UK, you're going to be a lot closer to developments there. But the background was when I was still advising Advent and they bought InPost, there were some discussions that began with Hermes. And my personal view is that, the plan was to create a pan-European network. They bought, I think it was 75%, wasn't it, in the UK?
Yeah, and 25%
and 25% in Europe. And Germany. I assumed that this is going to be some huge big thing that creates an InPost/Hermes network that is pan-European and strong. Didn't really happen that way, did it?
No, absolutely not. I mean, Mondial Relay was part of the Otto group as well, so they did pick up the French carrier from them, and they picked up 75% of Evri in the UK, as you describe. And the link up between InPost and Evri started off strong and has not stayed strong. As you know, Quadient have done a deal with Evri for the use of their parcel lockers, so that it sort of defied logic that Advent would own these two huge players in the UK and still leave room for a third party to come in and do a deal with Evri. So it's a very, very strange relationship.
The rumour that I heard, and I don't know, this is of course speculation, but I heard that the management didn't really get on too well.
Well, I work with the management of one of those companies, so I'm very reluctant to affirm or deny, but it would be hard to believe that everything was great based on the actions that have taken place.
Well, then I'll add to my speculation. My speculation is the following. Generally speaking, as you said, Hermes or Evri is a company that's been around for a long time. A lot of people with, long in the tooth have a certain formalized view of the industry. And then InPost are quite young guys, quite dynamic, sometimes a little bit brusque in terms of, the sort of comms. And I have a feeling that something didn't work because honestly, otherwise it would have been a dream combination.
Yeah, well, I mean, you say that, but Martijn de Lange, who there are very few people in the world I have more respect for than Martijn. He and I started at Hermes on the same day. He is ops director and me as sales and marketing director. And it was obvious that he had a massive trajectory in front of him and was going to grow with the business. At the time, we were doing approximately the same volume as Yodel. And you've probably seen the Yodel stuff that was been in the paper as well. They're doing about, I think, 170 million parcels a year, which is not far off what they were doing when I joined Hermes more than a decade ago. Evri are doing north of 700 million parcels a year. So you can see how that business has grabbed hold of the UK e-commerce explosion and ridden it, right the way through to this huge business that it is now. They are allegedly worth £2 million.
The only question I've got, Gary, is when I last looked at the UK market, you have, let's forget Amazon because they're specific, but you have DPD UK, which are always a very high quality provider. From what I recall, Hermes was never in that league. Have they got the volume but been able to do something of quality, or is it more cheap and cheery?
I don't think the quality, they get a significant amount of bad press. But if you do 770 million parcels a year, you're going to get complaints, you're going to get issues. You can't avoid it. Even if only 1 in a million goes wrong, you've got 770 times problems to deal with. And this is why I always looked at it. No one is absolutely squeaky clean. But once the press get a hold of a story, they never let it go. So they've switched their attention from Yodel, and the bad boys in town are Evri now. So the way that we used to describe it is that if you wanted it delivered the next day, you went with DPD. Evri sits behind free delivery for nearly all of the big retailers in the UK. They are so spread across everyone from John Lewis to the legacy mail order businesses, online mail order businesses. They're behind all of them. So it's very difficult to avoid their delivery. And if you choose, the economy, 2 to 3 day free delivery, there's a very, very high chance that Evri's going to be delivering to you. And most of the time, it's going to work out perfectly.
All right, so look, it's a big player. That sort of volume of parcels is big by any standard. Who do you think could want a piece of the action? Because the ticket is high. Not as high, I'll remind those of you who don't remember, InPost IPO'd at 8.9 billion euros a couple of years ago. So it's not the 2 billion is not in that league. But who do you think, Gary, could be a potential buyer?
I don't know. What's also interesting in their finances that when they were fully part of the Otto Group, they were the profit engine. The UK, Hermes UK was the profit engine. All of the other bits of the Otto Services Group, including Hermes Germany, Italy, the fledgling business they had in Russia, none of these things really made any money. But Carroll and then Martijn drove big profits out of Hermes and then Evri in the UK. They're now sitting on a debt pile. The advent of withdrawn over 500 million in dividends from the business, and last year they plunged into a 224 million pound loss. So the business is being managed in a very, very different way. So whoever takes it on has got to have very deep pockets and willing to take on and manage the debt that they put into the business, whereas previously it was debt free and producing profit. So it's going to have to be a serious player that takes this on.
Well, let's have a couple of speculative, shall we say, bids on this. So one crazy one, from my perspective, could be GLS, because given all the issues at Royal Mail, GLS doesn't really have a strong UK division to partner up with, and one of the opportunities could be to use Hermes to basically create a pan-European network that is independent of the Royal Mail business. What do you reckon?
I think if Royal Mail had sold off GLS, which there was a strong rumour about a year ago. If you look at Royal Mail's finances, all of their profit comes out of GLS, and the home business is at best washing its face. Then that would have been a really, really smart move, because you would have been divested from the UK. You'd have had no presence. GLS has got nothing in the UK at all, and that would have been a really, really smart move. But I think the problem will come with the regulator in that move and the competition authority, because if you add Evri's volume to Royal Mail's volume, you're back to edging into the area of dominance, and I think it would be quite difficulty regulatory wise. Another option is that maybe DHL would buy it. They've got DHL e-commerce, as it's now called. They've just rebranded from Parcel UK to DHL e-commerce. That business has got a lot of growth potential, but they're not cheap. They're not cheap to use. And I think the cost base is very, very, very appealing when you look across at Evri's cost base, and that's what they're really, really expert at. Of all of the carriers, the one that's really, really good at driving down cost is Evri, and that's why they are so strongly competitive. Because not only are they cheap and cheerful, is not a very nice way to describe it, but they are the budget carrier, but they're a profitable budget carrier. They're not sacrificing margins to do it. They're making money from every parcel.
Well, what could be although. Okay, the dividend would have to come post-profit, but the result from what I understand last year wasn't great. Look, let's see. It'd be really good to have comments from the viewers somewhere down there. Maybe they've got some views or ideas. I agree with you that Royal Mail would have to work on the basis that the businesses are split, but I still don't think that's impossible.
No, definitely not.
DHL could come back because remember, Home Delivery Network bought, I think, their UK business that was in trouble a couple of years ago and created Yodel. But let's see where it goes.
Yeah, it's a shame the Americans are struggling a little bit because FedEx swooped in and bought TNT. Could this be a big play for FedEx or UPS? I mean, you really need deep pockets to splash out 2 billion and add a billion to your debt pile. So who knows? Well,
I think UPS have got their own problems. That's maybe a topic for another video cast. But look, let's see what everyone thinks about these sort of speculative bids that we've talked about. Great to have you back, Gary. Looking forward to further video casts. Thanks for watching this Last Mile Profits video. For more up-to-date last mile news and analysis, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on LinkedIn.